As someone who's never played a Pikmin game, I've always been pretty interested to see what the hype around the series is about, but just never really got around to playing any of the games. Until now, of course. I played Pikmin 4 and had my first ever experience with a Pikmin game, and today I'm here to talk about it. Let's do it. The atmosphere of Pikmin 4 is very unique and refreshing for a Nintendo game, and this is apparent right from the start. Opening the game brings us to a relaxing piano solo that plays while showing footage of the various environments of the game. When I first got to this, I just sort of watched and listened for a while. It's soothing and calm. The first thing you'll probably notice is that this is a gorgeous game. Maybe it's just because I'm used to Pokemon games, but I think these graphics are absolutely beautiful. The detail and realism in everything, the plants, the dirt, even the backgrounds were just stunning. Taking place on planet Earth long after humans have gone extinct provides for a really unique aesthetic, as well as some interesting designs for the areas you explore. Not to mention, a lot is done to make the world feel more unfamiliar and alien for the player. The various creatures all have really creative and interesting designs, not only in their appearances, but also in their different behaviors and attacks. Though most of them are pretty consistent in being eldritch horrors that make me want to talk to the guy who came up with them and see if they're okay. I mean, these creatures are insane looking. Burrowing snagrets pop out of the ground to give you a heart attack when you walk by. These giant frog things camouflage as daisies. There's the pyroclasmic slooge, a sort of lava slug with a giant mouth and tongue that it uses to eat Pikmin. These araquanid looking guys run across the water so fast they can be hard to attack. The downy snagrets are actually really cute, even when they're eating my Pikmin. The shotcake just sits there until someone comes near, just so it can roll over and crush them. The wattlequaff straight up inhales anything it sees. The bearded amp rat appears to be some kind of electric monster rat that walks around under a blanket of its own skin growing off of it. By the way, these are just a few of the creatures from the first 3 areas. I could go on, but we don't have all day. Moving on to the controls, they're great. You'll probably notice that there's a lot of HUDs on screen. This takes a bit of time to get used to, but it's all surprisingly intuitive and easy to understand. On the left, you'll see the clock for the day, the treasure tracker that goes up when you go closer to something you want to collect, as well as you and Ochi's health bars. On the top right is the amount of raw material you have, the amount of Sparklium you've collected from treasure so far. Sparklium is essentially the value of treasure, and your tablet, which you can open for more data. On the more middle right is the controls, showing you some of the many things you can do. And on the bottom right is how many Pikmin you have on the field, how many you have on hand, and how many are currently standing around doing nothing. And a wheel which you can rotate between to select who you need at a moment's notice, between Ochi and the different Pikmin you have on hand. But one small thing I should mention, this game also has motion controls. Motion controls in Nintendo games are generally a mixed bag. Sometimes they're a great addition, but other times they're a genuine inconvenience. So how does Pikmin 4 use them? Honestly, this is one of the best implications of motion controls I've seen in a Switch game. See, the purpose of motion control should be to give the player options that wouldn't be possible with just the buttons on a controller, and Pikmin 4 completely understood this. Usually in gameplay, your whistle range is limited to a certain distance in front of you. This makes sense because the stick that controls the location of the whistle also controls your walking, so the only way to move it around is by walking. Except, if you hold the whistle down and start moving the controller, you suddenly have way more liberty in your whistle's movement and range. This is fantastic. Allowing this kind of movement on the control stick would lead to the whistle going all over the place anytime you walk. This is really the best way to do it. You can also move your controller to change where you throw Pikmin. This doesn't change as much as the whistle's motion controls because the range of the Pikmin toss remains the same, but it's still great to have as an option. Another big area this game excels in is how natural and logical all the tasks and limitations are. For example, you can only have a limited amount of Pikmin out from your onion at a time. This is explained to be a way the Pikmin have evolved to keep the species from being completely wiped out. When I was first walking around for a bit, I thought it was weird that I couldn't run very fast, climb up, or jump to some really small ledges without Ochi. I thought it was that whole thing where the tree blocks their path. But then I remembered, the characters are built like Funko Pops. There's no way they're physically capable of much. And the Pikmin are willing to help you because they're kind of stupid, and they need a commander to tell them what to do for their own protection. Then there's the big obvious example of turning simple logic into gameplay mechanics, the day system. Essentially, you have all day to collect resources, grow more Pikmin, explore, rescue castaways, and anything else you want. As long as you and your Pikmin make it back to the ship before sunset. Once sunset hits, you will be taking off and heading back to base, and anyone left behind is going to end up as dinner for some monster. Honestly, I'd say the main appeal of this game is the real-time strategy element of the gameplay. And let me tell you, this real-time clock is finely tuned to perfection. Each day is about 15 minutes, enough to get a good amount of tasks done, but still short enough to where you have to optimize your strategy in order to be efficient. In the subterranean areas, the clock moves at 1/6 the speed. A good decision because these can take a while to explore, and players would definitely be less willing to thoroughly explore them if the clock was moving at full speed. The clock also doesn't move at all while in things like the map and menu, meaning you have all the time in the world to plan and strategize, but the challenge comes in the execution of it. Multitasking and organizing your team is essential and extremely satisfying. Oh, and the tension when you're running out of time and you're scrambling to round up all your Pikmin to make sure everyone's accounted for and get back to the ship before nightfall. It's so anxiety-inducing, and it's great. And the game really makes you appreciate and love these Pikmin. You don't just think of them as tools or objects, they feel like little helpers that care about you and you want to take care of. Their animations are just silly and charming, and everything from the way they run around when panicked to the way they flail when you're about to throw them. Their squeaky voices are so cute, and they have quite a variety of lines, a very nice touch considering you'll often be triggering the same sound cue over and over. Different objects that you can carry back to your ship will have a required minimum number of Pikmin to carry them back, but can be carried with more than that amount of Pikmin to increase the speed. This presents an interesting set of options. Do you max out the Pikmin on that object to speed it up, or do you further spread your Pikmin across more items? These kinds of strategic options come up all the time, and are one of the things that make every day so distinct. You really start to appreciate the value of these little guys, and it makes you want to try your best to keep them safe during your missions. No Pikmin left behind was a motto I'd constantly repeat to myself, but of course, it doesn't always work out that way. On my third night, I barely got back to my ship before sunset, and accidentally left a few Pikmin behind. And the game is really good at making you feel really bad about leaving Pikmin behind. You have to watch this sad cutscene of them struggling to get back to the ship, but then being caught and eaten by creatures. I felt so bad for not being able to save them. I messed up, and... oh. Right, so now it's time for the problem with this real-time clock system. A problem made way worse by the fact that it was so easily avoidable. If you leave any Pikmin behind at the end of the day, the game offers to let you retry from any point back in time and remedy your mistake. Oh, and not just that, I actually always have that option. If at any point during the day I make a mistake, I can just rewind time and undo it. That's so nice and forgiving to let me do that. Except now you have less motivation to try as hard on everything. Also, every Pikmin loss is cheapened because you know you can just go back in time and save them. Also, opting not to go back in time to save your Pikmin makes it feel less like you were trying your hardest but failed, and more like you're deliberately taking the lazy option and letting them die. Also, it's immersion breaking and makes the day system, which originally felt very natural, feel way less realistic. Also, why is the game encouraging me to not face the consequences for my actions? Now it's my job to decide if I want to take the honest way out, or if I want to take the cheap route and undo my mistakes by time traveling. That should not be a choice I have to make in a real-time strategy game like this. I understand that sometimes you can lose a bunch of Pikmin, and sometimes it doesn't feel completely telegraphed or fair, but the solution to that isn't letting the player cheat. I want to learn from my mistakes, not just rewind time whenever I mess up. Okay, rant over, let's talk story. Pikmin 4 opens by letting you play as Captain Olimar in a human-sized living room. He's crash-landed on Earth once again, this time with a weird dog thing. Unfortunately, Olimar's Pikmin have scattered all across the room, so you need to round them back up and get Olimar's communication device so we can call for help. This is a great way to get the player used to the controls and to get a general idea for the story and setting before things are fully explained and put into motion. After finding Olimar's communicator, he sends out an SOS message to the rescue team. It takes months for this message to reach them, but when it finally does, they set out to rescue Captain Olimar from planet Earth, and they crash land on the planet too. Now you, still back at base, are the last hope to save Captain Olimar and the rescue team. So you set off, and your journey begins. You actually get a pretty decent amount of character customization as well. You can choose your name, then your body shape, where you have the choice of being an Alf, a Louie, a Brittany, or a Charlie. Yep, I named the body types arbitrarily. After that, you can choose hair, eyes, and outfit. A pretty good selection of options. You land on Earth successfully, and then encounter Oatchi, a member of the rescue team who's basically a less cute version of Poochie. Surprisingly though, I actually enjoy Oatchi's help. In the trailers I thought he looked like a pointless addition just to have a marketable animal buddy, but he actually introduces another layer of depth to all the strategy. Oatchi has the strength of multiple Pikmin, so he's helpful when it comes to moving things, but also has his own capabilities when it comes to things like attacking or just running around. Anyway, after finding Oatchi, you discover the Pikmin themselves, find Colin and Captain Shepard, and the squad establishes a base. You discover a Game Boy Advance and you feed it to the ship for fuel, then Captain Shepard sends you off on your own to collect more treasure and find the rest of the rescue team, as well as Captain Olimar. After a while though, you start to find more people that aren't from the rescue team. In fact, nobody recognizes them at all. The crew soon realizes that they weren't the only ones to receive Olimar's SOS signal. Tons of people from different planets received it and went to Earth for their own reasons, some in search of riches, others just out of curiosity, and of course, all of them crashed. Now you have no clue how many people are stranded on this planet, but you resolve to save as many as you possibly can. Every day you set out to collect treasure and find more crewmates, and at the end of every day, you come back to base and hear the beautiful relaxing end of day theme to wind things down. To my surprise, the characters have their own really charming dialogue and personalities. I enjoy talking to them, and it makes me really excited when I find someone new and save them. And even just aside from progressing in the story, there's a technical benefit to saving them as well, as they can all assist you in their own ways. As the days go by though, the characters start talking more and more about themselves, their families, or their dreams. Or just cute, simple banter. Most of it sounds like throwaway dialogue, but over time, you start to get more of a feel for these characters. I actually started to kind of care about them and want them to make it back home. I won't go over every character, of course, but I do want to talk about the ones that stick out to me. Russ is probably my favorite. I don't even know why, he's just goofy. His love for inventing things is surprisingly really charming and unsurprisingly really helpful. Dalmo's great too. He catalogs every creature you discover and lets you interact with them. Also, it's my headcanon that he sounds exactly like Korekiyo Shinguchi. Captain Shepard is a great determined leader. She really loves Oatchi, and she's afraid of Pikmin for some reason. That's funny. Then there's this Louis-looking guy named Dingo. When I first met him, I thought he was fine, until I realized he's a lazy little ingrate that actively avoids trying to help us. He spends the first couple of nights acting all weak and sick so he doesn't have to do anything. Then when he finally feels better, what does he contribute? He tells me that I should go and 100% an entire area. Bro. He's a part of the rescue corps, by the way. He's supposed to specialize in solo missions. Why am I the only one they're sending out into the field if he's here? Then Captain Shepard goes and tells me no slacking. Go make Dingo do something. Anyway, I want to briefly mention Dandori battles. Sometimes you'll encounter a stranger who gives you a specific challenge in which you need to carry a certain amount of weight back to your ship. The rules vary now and then, but these are consistently pretty fun and pretty challenging. That feeling of when you're just short of the amount of sparklium you need, you're in the last few seconds trying to make the most of it, hoping your Pikmin can make it back in time. It's so anxiety-inducing, and it's great. I actually lost every now and then and had to rethink my strategy to... Oh, that's what he does. So if you lose a Dandori battle, you actually have the option to let Dingo do it for you. Hey, at least he's finally contributing something. Wait, that's even stupider. Why would the game let me skip through this part? And why is it that when I tell Dingo I don't need his help, he just mutters something about how he didn't even want to help me in the first place? What is wrong with this guy? Okay, let's talk about Yanni. So as we save more crewmates, we discover some who have essentially been infected and turned into leaflings. Luckily, Dr. Yanni, being the absolute Chad that he is, knows how to get the cure and just needs you to do it for him. See, at nighttime, out come the glow Pikmin, who live in these glowing dirt mounds called luminol. Every morning, the luminol produces a liquid that can be used as a cure for this leafling disease. But obviously, if the mound is destroyed, it won't produce anything. So you have to protect the luminol and make sure it makes it till morning. The problem? Luminol glows, and the creatures out at night are attracted to glowing light, which means soon after the sun sets, all the monsters in the entire area become aware of your exact location and begin heading towards the luminol. Every time I think I've seen the extent of the gameplay here, it surprises me. I absolutely love tower defense games, and the mechanics of Pikmin lend themselves extremely well to that genre. It's just such a blast to employ the different strategies to defend your luminol. It actually gets pretty challenging too. Sometimes there's multiple luminol you have to defend, and you can command Oatchi to defend one as well. You can also extend your base area by claiming smaller luminol called Tricknol. Of course, the only Pikmin you have to your side are glow Pikmin, which you can get more of by having your Pikmin bring these star bits back to the luminol or Tricknol. I love the design of the glow Pikmin. It's so cool how they can float around, and it's really helpful that they come to your side right after spawning no matter where you are. The atmosphere of these night expeditions is also great. The music is bizarre and warped. The creatures all have glowing red eyes and appear as red shapes in the distance. And when you get back to base at the end of a night mission, the end of day theme becomes this really nice lo-fi sort of beat. Oh, and if a luminol gets attacked, this really loud alarm starts blaring. The music starts going more and more intense as the luminol's health goes down. You're running back to it, praying you can make it in time and take out that creature before it completely destroys the luminol. It's so anxiety-inducing, and it's great. To finish things off, the ending was pretty cool, basically what you'd expect. And while I haven't gotten very far in the post-game, I'll say that finishing up the areas you've explored is a good time. The new areas are great, and Olimar's mission calling back to Pikmin 1 is awesome. Pikmin 4 is an awesome game. If you like real-time strategy and puzzle solving, this is the Switch game for you. Pikmin 4 genuinely shocked me with how much enjoyment I was able to get out of it. The Pikmin series has always looked really cool, but now I can say, finally, I get it. I have experienced it. I guess that makes me a Pikmin fan. I kinda like the sound of that. I'm a Pikmin fan. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go play Pikmin 1 and 2.